Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We seem to have a bit of a problem with the stream tonight, Spence, because I'm not seeing, although we are live, I'm not seeing that we're getting any feedback from anybody.
No, I'm not seeing anything either. There's no comments or anything dropping down.
Yeah. Apparently the comments are there, but people, yeah, we've got viewers tonight, but it's not coming up on StreamYard for some reason.
Are we live then?
We are live.
Or are we just like in our own little
box? Let me just do a quick reboot here, just a quick refresh. So bear with me a second. Bear with. That make it. Yep, no, we've got finally now the comments have come up. Hello everybody. Right, should we try that again? Hello everybody. Welcome to tonight's Monday service, because quite frankly, Spence and I were too pooped to do a show last night, weren't we?
We were. I still can't see any. I still can't see any comments. It's really weird.
No, look, here we go.
It's like I don't exist. Let me go out, John, and I'll come back in, and I'll see if that helps.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye. Sorry about this, folks. We got a few gremlins tonight for some reason. It's just not. We've got comments here. We've got loads of comments, but it's just not loading properly for some reason. So, anyway, I hope you all, those of you who went to Telford, I hope you had a good show. We'll talk about it tonight, but we had immense fun. It really was absolutely fabulous, and yeah, we'll find out tonight our reaction to it. So let me just give you a quick update on what I'm working on here at the moment, whilst I'm waiting for Spence to. Oh, Spence is here. Here he is. Absolutely fine. Can you hear me okay, Spence?
I can. Oh, I've got them. Yippee!
There we go. Brilliant.
There we go. Now I can see kind of pretty much everything.
That's tonight's technical gremlins out of the way. So, right, Telford.
Yeah.
Did we have fun?
We had a lot of fun.
We had a lot of fun, didn't we?
We had a lot of fun, and I did absolutely nothing that I'd got planned. Pretty much.
Well,
that
I wouldn't
sort of sums it up, I think.
I wouldn't say you did absolutely nothing. You were a one-man modelling PR charm offensive at that show.
It kind of felt like that. Yeah, it was a bit like that, really. I mean, you and I had planned that we'd sit side by side on the Hobby Company stand with the good graces of my employers, that we would be on there. You would build a kit, I would build a kit, and we would sort of talk about it over the weekend. You did build a kit. In fact, you built 1.5 kits.
I did.
I managed to remove one part from a sprue, and then cut another part away from a sprue and glue neither of them together. That's pretty much sums it up. In fact, I'm not entirely sure, in the 45 years I've been building models, that I've done less model making when I've been sat at a desk in front of a model than I did this weekend. It was quite the trick.
It's because, Spence, of the two of us, you were clearly the more popular.
Well, I don't know about that. I think I was just the gobbyist. I'm not entirely sure it was a popularity contest. It was just that I didn't stop talking, as many people kind of found out. But do you know what? Joking aside, I think that was the thing that came out of the weekend, wasn't it? That model makers, when we got there on the Saturday, it was quite quiet, wasn't it? It took a while to kind of warm up.
Yes.
People were obviously wandering around, spending money and buying their kits and trying to sort of get the best deals on the Saturday from the sales and that kind of thing. And it wasn't until slightly after 10 o'clock that it all started to kind of come our way. And once we sort of hit 9:30, 10 o'clock on the Saturday morning, that was it. It was just completely full on then till about 4:30, I think.
Yep.
Show closed at 6, but that period between sort of 9:30 to 4:30 was absolutely insane. And obviously we've had a period of 2 or 3 years where things have sort of been a bit up and down. Last year was a smaller show. There was less people there and it wasn't quite as busy. I disappeared off to the football on the Saturday afternoon, so I didn't see it then. But I can't remember the last time that the National Championship Scale Model World in New Money was as busy as it was, certainly on that Saturday. On the Saturday, it was absolutely incredible how many people turned up, and it was really, our hall was almost the quieter of the three. I think that was pretty much down to its Baltic temperatures as well, that people kind of came in, wandered around, shivered a lot, and then went back into the warmth of the other two halls. But it was absolutely extraordinary how many people there were walking around. It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah. No, I will concur that obviously there wasn't a show in 2020. There was a show in 2021, but I don't think either of us went to it because it was such a reduced capacity. We felt that it's not, it wasn't worth it. We came back for 2022, which was much smaller scale show. It was enjoyable, but you could tell that it wasn't quite what we were used to. This weekend, the weekend just gone by rather, was just absolutely phenomenal. We were back to a kind of pre-pandemic kind of capacity, but there just seemed to be a renewed enthusiasm out there from people, and that's what I found to be really the heartening thing about it all. Spence, I'm just going to have to do a quick refresh here because yet again StreamYard's seems to have gone down a bit, so bear with me a second. Bear with. Yes, okay, we're back now. What it is, for some reason the comments are not loading tonight. It's really frustrating here. And Mike Reeves says, JM, have you been checked for diabetes after all the cakes? I haven't even touched any of the cakes.
I have to say that was another. I mean, there were lots of highlights. It's sort of, it sounds like we're sort of going overboard with the to sort of say, oh, this is the greatest show we've ever been to, and all that sort of stuff. No, that's not what we're saying. We're talking about this show in isolation of itself, kind of thing, and how it's sort of compared with previous years, and the way that people interacted with us. And one of the things was that sitting there, we just kept on getting offered cakes and biscuits, and people came out of their way to bring us. The Portuguese guys brought us port. The Irish guys brought us whiskey.
Yep.
It was that kind of thing, and it was almost that sense that they knew we couldn't move, so they came to us. I think one of the Portuguese guys said, well, if the man won't come to the mountain's gonna have to come to the man, sort of thing, and said, here you go, this is the port I promised you last week. and kind of did that. And it was really that sense that people wanted to sort of communicate a shared passion, and they wanted to be there to not only ask us questions, and there was a lot of that flying around, but it was about, we're sort of here, we feel like we've come through a period that we don't really want to repeat ever again, and we're coming out of the other side. And there was that. I think it also helped on a personal note. It helped me that it was the first time since the military in-scale days, and that's going back to sort of 2012 for me. The military in-scale days, it's the first time at a show that I've been able to sit with a lot of my work in one place, where people can see my work and they can then have a kind of a look at it, and then come to me and say, "Oh, I've just had a look at that. And can you tell me about it? Can we talk about it?" And that's something that has been great. I do a lot of smaller shows around the country where that happens. But in terms of Scale Model World, this was the first time in a very long time when I've been actually present as part of a much bigger display, and it was a chance because I had the entire Legacy collection all in one place, and that's the first time they've been displayed together. That there's been part of it, but there hasn't been the whole thing all in one go, and the whole thing was all there, and that was great because it gives people a jump off point to talk to you. John and I talked about this while we were there at the weekend. It's kind of easy, I think, for us to go and chat to people because we know an awful lot of people. We can go to stands, we go to trade stands and all that kind of thing. And we can kind of see, people, but it's for others, it can be quite difficult, and it can be quite not intimidating, because that makes it sound way more grandiose and makes us sound way more important than we are. And in the grand scheme of things, we're not really that important. We're just a couple of middle-aged grouches who sit behind a desk talking about building plastic models. That's kind of it. There's no more importance to anything that we do than us sitting there and building models. John is in the industry because he makes decals for Ethics. I'm in the industry because I build models for Doolittle. Let's not make it appear that we're any more important than that. We are industry representatives. It's as simple as that. So I'm always cognizant of the fact that for people who know our work and see us on here or see my work in magazines or everything, sometimes it can be intimidating to go up to somebody and sort of go, "Hi, I'm like a fan of your work." And we talked about that and how when I see that happening in front of me, my focus then is to make that person that stood in front of me the only person in the room. That there's no one else in the room. And I hope that kind of came across over the weekend, that I was then entirely focused on that person. It can become difficult because other people then sort of stand to the side, and then you're sort of aware that they're sort of waiting a little bit and everything. And I hope that the people that did come and talk to us over the weekend, were at least felt that they'd had a bit of our time, and it was sort of worthwhile, and they could go away and go, "Oh yeah, that was brilliant. I enjoyed that. I got something from that. I saw the models, I chatted to them. I found out what color paint they'd done this, and off they toddled with their, bags in hand. I had a message today, and it was a guy saying, "Thanks for the chat. That F89 Scorpion that I showed you, I'm looking forward to building it." And I'm like, great, that's exactly as it should be. I want to build an F89 Scorpion now. I have to say, when he had one, I was like, oh yeah, I quite fancy doing one of those because they're big and pretty and aggressive looking. So I hope that kind of came across really, and that was certainly something that wasn't unique to John and I. It was something that I heard over and over and over again from people that I talked to over the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's perhaps it's a function of the fact that because COVID hasn't gone away, but I think hopefully we are a bit more resilient to it now through the vaccination programs and everything. and so it's it's no longer dominating us as much as it was 2 or 3 years ago. Oh, Spencer's, yeah, no, sorry, Spence, you froze for a second there. Yeah, and it's we still haven't got any comments coming up here, by the way. We have got a lousy feed tonight. It is not, we're not getting any comments coming through whatsoever. They come up for a while. I think the last one we had came up at 7:42, and that was it. So there's obviously a technical problem tonight with the streaming service, because and the compressor's joining in as well. So bear with.
Scroll down.
Yep. But yeah, shall we talk about the generosity of Premium Hobbies?
Yes, let's do that.
Yep. Because I'm just going to pull my camera up here. They were very kind to give us a full suite of the sanding sponges and everything, plus some of their other equipment, which was very kind of them. So let me just put me onto solo camera for a second. There we go. So what we both got, which again we are very grateful to them, was a pack of the sanding sponges, the softback sanding sponges, which we're both massive fans of. I absolutely love these, and as people who heard me speaking over the weekend know, that the 400 grit one, this one here, is the one that I bought 2 years ago, and I'm still using it 2 years later. So I've actually got a pack of these that I bought 2 years ago. I've never opened them. So I will be opening these ones, but I promise. But these are, oh my goodness me, these are my favorite sanding sponges of all time, and they seem to be very robust. And I give this one the occasional kind of like wash under the tap and give it a squeeze out and everything. But these are absolutely brilliant. We also were given some of the sanding sponge sets as well. So these you can chop up and make your own tools and things. So that's a full set of the 200 through 220 through to the 4000. So absolutely brilliant. We also got a set of the sanding sticks, the zebra sanding sticks, which I haven't used these, and I haven't used these at all really in the past. So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with those. Also, the smaller ultra precision soft sanding sticks, another full set there, going from the 400s through to the 7000s. I do have a pack of these, and I did use them on the Audi Quattro to smooth down the paintwork. And then, wowee, look at this! It's a sanding sheet of sticker type with the sanding implements as well. Utterly fabulous. Thank you so much, Premium Hobbies, because it was such a generous generous gesture from them. And also they gave us some workstations as well, which is absolutely brilliant, of which mine is already in use. So utterly fabulous. Thank you, Premium Hobbies.
If you check your the IMC Messenger, John, I've just sent you a photograph, because I've actually set my desk tidy up to show how it works with all of the sanding sticks that we've sent, that we were given.
Okay.
if you have a look on there, there's a photograph, and it shows that box structure is designed to hold all of the sanding sticks in order. And it works really brilliantly. So it kind of keeps everything nice and tidy on your desk. And so I've sent you the photograph.
Nothing has come through here. I'm just going to do a quick refresh here. So bear with me a second. Okie dokie. Let's go to private chat. Nothing. Did you send it private chat here, or did you send it on Facebook Messenger?
Facebook Messenger.
Oh, Facebook Messenger. That's why.
There you go.
Oh, cut me some slack, people. It was a long weekend. Every time we sat down to have a cup of tea and some cake, it was like we were needed on the front line. So right, here we go. Spencer's sent me a picture. Right, here we go. Yep, I'm just going to ping that up on stage. Oh, come on. Open image in new tab. There we go. What do you do on Monday night? I watched a confused man from Dudley not manage very well to get the photographs up on screen. Right, here we go. Dun, dun, dun. I'm so glad we're only doing a short show tonight, because this will wear very quickly. Oh, come on, man! For goodness sake! Right, here we go. So this is your setup. There we go.
There we go. So as you can see, all of the sets of sanding sticks that were sent, they fit consecutively into the slots. And you'll notice that at the front there's 8 there, and there's a little white one at the end. That white one is actually narrower than the others, and they've created a narrower slot for it to go into. It is absolutely perfect.
He's right, you know. Hang about. Let's just pull that across a second. Oh goodness me! Come on, man.
It really is. It's very. You can see that there's a little narrower slot.
No.
And the little ones that are at the other end, those little tiny slots, they're for the etched pieces, and they're designed to fit those perfectly as well. But I haven't got round to using those yet.
No.
So I've got a nice little kind of setup on my desk. Anybody that kind of follows this nonsense will know that I'm kind of puritanical about my setup anyway, and it has to be kind of tidy all the time. But this is added greatly to that. And I'll have to. I certainly want to repeat what you've said about thanking them, because it was quite late on yesterday when one of the guys from Premium came over and said, "Look, I know you've mentioned these before, and we'd like you to have these 2 sets, you know, go away and use them," sort of thing. And I did mention to him that I'd actually bought 2 sets that sort of mirrored what 2 of the sets that he gave me, that I bought them at the Stafford Model Show about 6 weeks ago, and had been using them on and off throughout the last 4 or 5 projects, and I'm really impressed by them. They really are fabulous. They're kind of superb, and it's been noticeable over the last, I don't know, 12 months maybe. We've started to see these products that we've only heard about from elsewhere suddenly appearing on the market, and we've been able to kind of pick them up. You and I were very excited yesterday because we entered the domain of the God Hand. We walked into the God Hand lair, didn't we? I'd seen these being set up on Friday, and there were two Japanese fellas that were setting this display up, and I think they're being brought into the country by E-Models from Stoke-on-Trent. And so on the Sunday, I was having a bit of a wander around on Sunday morning, and I sort of started to look at the display. I'd only taken a cursory glance at it over the previous day or so, and the guy came around from the back of the one of the guys that works at eModels and said, are you looking at these? And I sighed a little bit, and I said, I am, but I'm not sure that they're expensive and everything. And he said, well, he did that brilliant trick of saying, well, why don't you just hold one, and here's some plastic, and see what you think. And so that's what I did. And although I've used side cutters for decades, give or take, and I've used disc spy cutters and all of that sort of stuff, I was very keen to see what these cutters look like from God Hand, because they've always been pegged as being the best on the market. They're the market leader, if you like. And so I thought, well, I'll give them a go and see what they're like and that kind of thing. And when I started slicing off 0.5 millimeter slithers off the end of a piece of sprue, perfectly flat, like a knife going through butter, I thought, okay, I'm convinced. And then he handed me another sprue that had got some small parts on, and here, have a go at this. And so I started cutting them off. This is the ones. These are the single bladed ones.
Yep.
I also bought these ones as well. These are two bladed, so these are more traditional clippers. As you can, if I put them by my camera, you can kind of see these have got two blades on them. So they're more traditional. They're more like a set of Tamiya cutters, except they're much sharper than the ones I've got. I'm not sure about the high end Tamiya ones, because I don't have a pair of those to compare. But these ones here, these are single bladed, so they act like a pair of shears, and it shears through the plastic. And the quality of the cut and the closeness of the cut against the part is extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary with these. So I was completely convinced within the first few minutes of trying them out. So I decided that it would be worth my while to, instead of buying kits or anything like that this year, to buy these tools, because they'll be used every day by me. So it was kind of good to see them. And then I came back and with my bag, and I went, oh, John, look what I've got. And John just went, I'm getting some of them now. That's it. It was pretty much that.
It was a mission for me this year, because I love my Despy cutters, my Despy nippers rather, but they have just these. I bought these 4 years ago, so this is 2019. They have just started to lose their edge. I adjust the the cutting action on them, but I have noticed of late that even though I've adjusted the cutting action so that they are coming together quite positively, I'm still having to do a little bit of cleanup of slightly kind of raggedy edges and things or whatever. These are still better, even in their 4-year-old weathered form, are still better than a lot of two-pronged cutters that you can get out there. But having gone over to eModels yesterday and bought a pair of God Hands, oh my goodness me, it has yet again, it is that kind of revelatory moment that I was sat working on the little Tamiya 48 scale M8 motor carriage, the howitzer, which you've already built and painted, but just again, bit like 4 years ago when Drew frog marched me over to whatever the stand was that was selling the Spy ones, and I came back and I was just like, ooh, and it was that moment all over again.
It kind of is that, and I think that's sort of where we've got to, really, that the quality of the tools and the materials that we're now able to use has kind of gone up. I had a quite a long conversation with John, I think it is, from Deluxe Materials, and we were talking about super glues. And obviously in the day job I use a lot of super glue, and super glue can be variable in extremis when you're using it, depending on temperature of the room, whether it's warm, whether it's cold, whether it's damp, whether it's dry. And I need to have super glue that I know is gonna be consistent every single time I use it. And you can go out and buy cheap super glue, you can go out and buy hideously expensive super glue and all of that sort of stuff. And same with accelerators, with catalysts. But what I found that when I started using this and this, that I found that there was a consistency with it, and I was able to understand its properties and not have any surprises at all. And so consequently it sped things up for me. I was able to build quicker because I wasn't having to think, is this super glue going to work? I've recently just finished the Airfix Sea King, and on the side of the Sea King there's a aerial that runs along the side of it and drops down to the tail. There's also some handrails that come out of the door and then drop down onto the front of the steps. Each of those aerials and those rails, that was done with Ushi van der Osten's rigging thread, the elastic thread. Now, I could have made my life an awful lot easier if I drilled through the posts of the stanchions for the aerial, but I chose not to do that. I don't know why. I don't think I could be bothered, to be honest. Let's not make out that it was in any way a technical decision. I think it was just laziness. But I was able to thread them from post to post in much the same way that I did the rigging on the Tiger Moth, the Airfix Tiger Moth, when I rigged it in a very traditional way from the base of each of the struts upwards, and then fixed it with super glue that way. And I found that with using that super glue, I was able to do it and do it really neatly as well, and not have to kind of worry about it. And as soon as I put the thread against the butt it against the end of each of the stanchions, it just hooked straight away, and then dragged it across, hooked again, dragged it across, hooked again. And so we're sort of finding that with glues or with nippers or with the sanding products, the quality of the sanding sticks that are coming out now, you're getting a consistency, and you're not having to second guess the product. You're not having to sit there and think, oh, is this going to work? Is this paint going to work? Is this paint going to match? Is it going to be consistent? And I think that's as much a revolutionary aspect of the hobby as anything else. The quality of the kits, 3D printing, all of those kind of things. There's no point having fabulous kits out there that are incredibly well detailed and go together beautifully, and if the tools that you're using to put them together, or the products you're using to put to finish them, glue them together and finish them, aren't consistent with and in line with what you're trying to assemble, I think that's kind of an important thing.
I think that was one of the interesting kind of conversations I had with a chap. I think it was Sunday, and he was intrigued about the God hands, and I said to him, well, they're not cheap. They're I think $49.99 is how much I paid for that, and I will stress, Spence and I, we did go out and we did buy these.
We did. They weren't given there. If only, really. We did. We purchased these, so we don't have an endorsement or anything like that.
Yeah, sorry, my phone went off there. And so we are literally putting our money where our mouths are, because we've invested in these. I didn't get the two-bladed ones, but I thought I'm so glad I got this. Anyway, this chap, I said to him about these, and when I said, well, he said, how much are they? And I said, well, they were $49.99. His face just kind of like, wrinkled up, and he just kind of shook his head, and but he had absolutely arms and arms and armsfuls of kits, and I'm not going to criticize how people engage in this hobby, because we've always said we don't care how people engage in this hobby as long as they engage in this hobby. But I did think to myself, well, how many of those kits are you actually going to build? And if you invest in a quality tool, it is always going to be there when you're building all those other kits you've got there, you know. And
Yeah.
I personally, you know, 50 quid for a pair of cutters for the ease that they bring to my construction process here, worth every penny.
I'm not sort of in the mindset of only using the very best tools to build models, to build the models that I do. I have a range of tools in a range of prices, from very cheap up to god hand expensive. And today I spent the day. I came in. I explained this to John earlier on, that my working year starts the Monday after the national championship. So I work from that Monday through to the Friday before the national championships the following year. It's November to November.
Very similar to mine.
Yeah, and it's an intellectual thing, and it's always been like that, because I've always built up to that point, and then so I finish, and I don't take any time off after the show to sort of sit there and think, oh, what am I going to build next? That's already set for me. My projects are already in place, even running through the rest of this year. So I'm sort of getting involved in that. So today I spent most of today putting everything away that I brought back from the show, all of the tools that I bought. I photographed them, then I racked them all up so that they're all put away. Went through all the cupboards, they're all sorted out again. They're all immaculate as you sort of imagine. And then I spent time behind me cleaning all the airbrushes out. They're all serviced, they're all cleaned, and all of that sort of stuff. Now the airbrushes that I use behind me range from £28 up to £200. The custom micron's not in there, so that's below me, and in a box I didn't have to do that. So obviously they're eye-wateringly expensive, but like you, it ranges from £28 up to £200. Now each of those tools has a very specific job in my workshop. So for instance, if I'm spraying varnishes, or if I'm spraying metallics or something like that, or if I'm just spraying base coats, then I'll use one of the cheaper airbrushes. If, for instance, if I'm doing smoke rings on a Mackie, then I'll use the most expensive one, because that's the consistent. I use that HPCH that I normally use, the eye water airbrush, because I know that that's going to give me consistent results. The same rule applies to using nippers. I'm not going to be using these to be heavy duty cutting on if I'm cutting, large chunks of plastic or large sections of runner or whatever, then I'll use my old Xuron cutters.
Do you know what? Isn't that strange? Look at that. Look, Xuron cutters.
Yeah, or these ones which are used to cut photo etch or bits of brass and that kind of thing. So I'll have different tools for kind of different ideas, and that way that I can protect the most expensive tools for the jobs that I know they're designed for, rather than only using those for kind of everything, and then in 4 months' time breaking one of the blades or something like that. I sort of feel very strongly about that I kind of use what I need to. It's the same with brushes. I've got pots of brushes, as we all have, and everything. But my expensive Kolinsky sable brushes that I use for all the hand painting and everything, they're in a box behind me, and they're kept completely separate from everything else. So this little jar here has got lots of little fine brushes in it, but these are all synthetic brushes that I'm not too worried about, because they cost a couple of quid, and I buy them in sets. Whereas the sable brushes that I protect at all costs, they're behind me in a box. So I sort of keep things separate. That's the way it works. But I do believe that the improvement in my personal work, has been facilitated by investing in more expensive tools. I had a conversation with somebody I know in town who's a local builder, and he got talking about buying tools. The kind of tools that a builder would have, drills, those kind of things, still saws, all of that kind of stuff. and how he felt it was really important that he bought the best he could afford to do the jobs that he did, and then that way he would have consistency when he went to work and knew that he would be able to do all of the jobs that he was being paid to do because he had the tools to do that. That's exactly the same for us, I guess. So if anybody sort of says, "Oh, what do you recommend to do this to get the finishes that such and such gets?" Or I always say, "Well, try this. You know, if you can afford it, try this." But you know, if you're a beginner and you've never airbrushed a model in your life, you know, I wouldn't necessarily recommend they go out and buy. I had a conversation actually with somebody, and I can't exactly remember. It was somebody that I knew. And forgive me for forgetting exactly who it was, who was talking about buying an airbrush, and the sort of the whether or not it was worth getting a custom micron, and whether or not it was worth getting an HPCH, which is the one that I used, and could he which would give him the better results. And we had quite a long conversation about the sort of pros and cons of both of those things. But certainly I wouldn't go if a beginner came to me and said, "Oh, I'm starting out on airbrushing. I've never airbrushed a model before. I just want to see whether or not I could do it." I would probably say, "Well, go out and buy a Neo or something, you know." And if you like it and you get used to it and you want something to improve, then go out and buy, go out and buy an Iwater airbrush or whatever. You know, start off with something like we did. What did you start off with? I started off with one of those Humbrol paint chuckers.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. That's exactly the same. And oh goodness me, that was Christmas 1979. I got that.
Did it have was yours a posh one in a set that had the gas bottle with it?
Yep.
Oh, you were just posh. I just had the airbrush on the card.
Nope, I had it came in the expanded polystyrene packaging with the cardboard sleeve around the edge.
You were just posh.
I know, and I just remember the thrill of mixing the paint. I was painting. It was the first 35th scale tank I ever made, and it was the Tamiya M3 Stuart. The M3 Stuart.
Wow!
And I was painting it in British desert camouflage. So anyway, I mixed up some Humbrol 93, followed the instructions. It says, thin it to this, that, and the other. And I can always remember my little spray booth, my little workshop station upstairs that Dad built for me. And I sprayed the thing with it, and the room, it was like the London smog. The room was filled.
I remember those days as well.
Yeah, clouds and clouds and clouds of paint vapor. I think that's when I learned very early that paint vapor wasn't very good for you.
I think the first using the same airbrush, actually, I think the first model I ever painted was a 1/48 scale Lindbergh SDKFZ 7 half track.
Good Lord.
That had, I'm sure it's Lindbergh, and it had the tracks were molded in one piece on each side. And I painted it I think I might have even attempted the 3-tone camouflage on it. So you can begin to imagine how big those patterns were. And I think then after that, I had a go at doing the Airfix 72nd scale F105F in that 3-tone camouflage. I think I had to go at one of those. But that was my sort of entry into the world of high-end airbrushing. Was the Humbrol paint chucker. But interestingly, there was a guy who did an article in Scale Models magazine. He did a super detailed Matchbox Buccaneer S2B, an REF one, which won a medal. I think it won either a first place at Stoneleigh or it won a first place at Model Engineer Exhibition. It might have done both, actually. But he wrote an article about it in Scale Models. And he made a point of saying that he painted the entire model using one of those paint chuckers because he didn't have anything else, and painted it in enamels, and he masked off all of the camouflage with Maskol, which I thought was an extraordinary thing. If anybody's ever tried to mask anything with Maskol on the surface of a model, you'll know just how, I don't know, demanding that is. So you can do wonderful things with these. Yeah.
Well, I always remember that once the smog had cleared, you see, and then I could see the model in the cardboard box, and there was just that sudden kind of road to Damascus kind of thing of, oh my goodness me, there's no brush marks on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Where
and
have
it
they
was
all gone?
I know, and it was just that's it. I am in love with airbrushing, and I think I went from that. I used that for a few years, then I bought a Badger 200 and kind of moved on from there. But
oh, I went a much more circuitous route into airbrush. I didn't go anywhere near anything as sophisticated as Badger 200. My next one was the so I went from the Humbrol paint chucker, which was the little thing with the bottle underneath, to their other airbrush, which had which was black and silver, which then had which also had a bottle underneath, but it had like a T junction into the airbrush.
oh, the Studio One.
No, that came next.
Right.
Somebody offered to sell me a Studio One airbrush because obviously it was much vaunted at that point, wasn't it? It was like Studio One, the future of airbrushing. And I tried one of those out, and it was much like the other. I think Francois Verlinden used the other airbrush. He sort of said, I think he said in one of his books, it was so good you could spray sand.
Spray sand. Yes.
Yeah. And the reason you could spray sand through it was because the nozzle on it was about a millimeter across. It was complete rubbish. So I tried one of those, and then I tried the Studio One, which I used for a couple of months, and it broke. And then after that, I think it was the Badger 200, the single action, I think it was. Yeah, and then I had the single action Badger 200. And I don't know what I did after that. I think I then went on to getting an Aztec. I think that was the next one. Actually, there you go, Modeler's airbrush.
That is, I've just pulled that off the internet, but that's the one I had, and oh yes, it was utterly
Mine was
brilliant.
black. Yours was red. Mine was black. And Drew said that the airbrush was called the Hobbycraft. Yeah, that was it. That was the one I had.
That's the one.
Yeah, and it was, they were all made of plastic, weren't they, at the time? The Studio One was a plastic airbrush with metal bits. The Hobbycraft was a plastic airbrush with, I think, did it have a metal bit on the end? I think
and a metal nozzle, but it was like a plastic body. And
and they were all, and all of the airbrushes I used up until, I don't know when I first got a gravity feed one, but they were all like suction cupped. They all took from the bottom and everything. But it would be fun actually to paint a model with one of those old airbrushes again, to sort of see whether or not it was possible. I mean, I keep sort of joking that I'm going to have a go at painting I'm going to Aztec an aircraft. You guys don't think it's possible, but I think I'm going to have a go at it and see whether
I'm not knocking Aztecs. I bought one about 10 years ago, and it literally fell apart in my hands, so I sent it back.
Yeah, they weren't the most durable thing in the world, were they? It kind of has to be said.
Just want to say, I just want to give a quick shout out to Peter from eModels. He says, Peter from eModels, and thank you for your custom. I will point out that although Spencer and I were generously gifted these tools and things from Premium Hobbies, we actually went out and handed over our hard-earned to buy our God hand nippers.
I have to say, I'm not sure who it was that I can't remember actually the name of the chap from emails. I've got to say that when I spoke to him on Sunday morning and everything, we had a long chat actually. It was really rather nice. He was extremely knowledgeable about the products and everything, and I sort of jokingly said it was some sort of Jedi mind trick, because I hadn't actually gone over there with the specific intention of buying one of these, and certainly not two of them and everything. But eModels are they're a brilliant retailer, and they're not a retailer; they're a mail order house from Stoke-on-Trent. But they are brilliant, and their service is always fantastic. You can order from them with absolute confidence, much like you can with Premium Hobbies or with Scale Model Shed. I think it is that we order from as well. There are some really brilliant retailers around, but I'd like to sort of publicly thank the guy from Emails, because he was superb, and he was more than willing to sort of talk about these things, and we are looking forward to using them. I took a few other bits and pieces away as well from them. It wasn't just the God hand things. There was some other things as well. These are the kind of plastic handles for that you create sanding sticks with, abrasives as well, these ones here, and also these sort of mini sanding sponges as well. So we've got quite a lot that will be used over the sort of coming months. And people will be able to see these in the articles that I write for work. So very kind of public thank you to
your brains. I wish I picked your brains a bit more, because you suddenly showed me stuff and I'm like, oh, I should have gone out and got some of them.
It was sort of, I came away with, I had a look actually. I don't know if you picked one up, but I was given a catalogue as well from eModels. They gave me the sort of the pamphlet, the catalogue. I didn't realise, because obviously we get told that God Hand is they make nippers, but they make an extraordinary. They make an extraordinary variety of tools, and you're sort of looking at I was looking at this catalogue this morning, going, yeah, I'd have that. Yeah, I definitely would do that. Yeah, I'd certainly have those as well, and I'd go through those and everything. So if anybody gets the chance, please go onto eModel's site, because it is brilliant. It's easy to navigate, and take a look at this stuff and everything else that they do, because they are brilliant. But yeah, they make some fabulous tools, don't they? It's
don't. Do you know what? I'm going to hang on to the catalogue, because that will inspire me throughout the year until the next Telford.
Yeah, indeed. And in actual fact, these tools will be used for the first time, because I start building again tomorrow, and I'm working on what I should have done over the weekend. But I am working on Tamiya's F-35B this week. So hopefully at some point in the future, I'll be able to tell you how I got on with these tools. And brilliant stuff.
Fabulous. Right. Any other business?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, there is actually. Before we go, I'm going to put this on my page, as I'm going to put the premium stuff and various other things. A big thank you to Colin Strachan from Freight Dog, who gave me this yesterday. So yes, very generously gifted me that, because he knows that I've got an F-15 project kind of up and running now. And thanks to Mike Reeves, who I think might be watching this as well, who also sent me the monogram kit, which I'm going to build, and sent me some stickers for an aggressor F-15, which I will show you. If anybody's interested in aggressors, Japanese aggressors, get yourself this book from Model Art. It's part 1 of 2. There's a second part. It's fabulous. In fact, it's better than fabulous. It's the greatest thing you'll ever see, because it's full of F-15s in pretty markings. And this is the one that I'm going to be doing.
Oh, goodness me.
That's lovely, isn't it? And thanks to Sir Michael of Reeves, who generously sent me a set of stickers for that. I can do that one. I can do a DJ. I'm going to do, I think, unless I change my mind drastically between now and then, I think that thing is going to be an Oregon Air National Guard F-15C, because I keep seeing videos online of F-15s taking off from, I think it's Portland Airport, I think, in Oregon. That would make sense, wouldn't it? And they just look fabulous. And I love the markings on the tail. And then Mr. Mike Reeves F-15 is, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'm almost tempted actually to do an aircraft from I think it was at Bitburg. Were you at Bitburg, Mike? I'm not sure. Although somebody did mention, and I thought, oh, that sounds nice, to do another Air National Guard one. I think it's the one from New York, that out there somewhere. So anyway, I'll have a think about that, see what I kind of come up with, really. So thanks to Colin for that. And also, if you get a chance and you're into 72nd and you're into helicopters, go and check out Freight Dog's upcoming and proposed Westland Wasp that they're currently working on. It's been in the planning, and they've been talking about this model for years and years and years. I've been talking to Colin for about, but they had the resin parts on his stand, Bitburg, and they had the resin parts on his stand, and it looked really impressive. It's got that really kind of squat look that the Wasp has. So check that out as well. And thanks to Colin for that, because and amongst everybody else that gave us stuff, thanks to everybody. Basically,
well, I'm just going to give a shout out to. I like to say thanks to IPMS Portugal for the port.
Yep.
Oh, that port was lovely.
Oh, it was spectacular.
I know. It's so spectacular that Andy Farmer of the Hobby Company actually went online and ordered the bottle. So
I'm not remotely surprised. It was fabulous.
I'd like to say thanks to IPMS Ireland for the Jamesons.
That was a revelation, wasn't it? I don't drink whiskey at all. I don't really like it. But that was lovely. I thought I could drink that.
Big thanks to Jerry Doyle, Mike and Penn Richardson, who bought me some gifts and also some homemade beer as well. So I'm saving that for Christmas. Rob Monfee, thank you, Rob. Dougal McWoogle, who also gifted us stuff. Jared Watkinson, who gifted us stuff. Steve Moores, who gifted us stuff. Dave Fleming. Thank you, Dave. Dave, not only did Dave give me a pile of, or give us rather, a pile of Tunnock's tea cakes and things, but he also gave me an Airfix Cessna 02 Push Me Pull You, which is one of their kits I never had. So thank you, Dave. And also Karen McMullen, who also gifted us some lovely goodies as well. So to everybody, genuinely quite a not sobering, what's the word I'm looking for? It was quite a show, let's put it that way. And in fact, when we were driving up on the Friday, and Andy turned to me and he said, are you okay? And I said, well, the thing is, Andy, I'm kind of in that situation now where what happened to me back in May has suddenly caught up with me. And the fact that here we are in the car and we've got the Rock to Telford playlist going and we're on our way to Telford, and it just hit me like that. The enormity of everything hit me. So I want to say a big thank you to Andy, because he drove me up for the weekend, and to the Hobby Company who put me up, and also the Hobby Company also rather patiently endured the pair of us, I think is the best way of putting it. So thank you. I
thought we were pretty well behaved, though. On the whole,
very well behaved.
We sort of kept out of the way, didn't we? We didn't really annoy them too much. I don't know.
And also,
thanks to the Hobby Company. It's to have given us our own space to do what we did, and also given us our own space to display was super. I'm slightly concerned, though, that I'm not going to be able to repeat that display next year, which means that I'm going to have to build new stuff for next year. That's a little bit of a concern. So I'm thinking to myself that I might have to create some new legacy dioramas for next year, which is a little bit of a concern, because that's not really in my plans for then. So yes. I may have to do that.
Also, very, 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 very quickly, bear with. Scrolls down. I'm just seeing if I can find I can't find the image. It's a shame. I think you and I need to do another little challenge, perhaps do one over Christmas.
Yeah, I was thinking about this earlier on today, actually, about the Walker Bulldog challenge, which
Yes,
we've been talking
yes.
about for a while. I'm planning to have 2 weeks off over Christmas. I always try and have 2 weeks off over Christmas because they bring all of the schedules forward for printing and all of that kind of thing. So I think that might be a nice one, actually,
Yeah.
to do over Christmas. We could sort of sit there and do something nice and simple. It's not going to take a long time to put that thing together, is it?
Oh God, no. That's the whole point.
Parts.
Yeah,
so
that's the whole point of the challenges, is
yeah,
that we do something and we just blitz our way through it. So yeah, it'd be nice to do the Walker Bulldog, for the simple reason that 3 years ago I did a poster for it, so we've already got the poster ready.
we never sort of got around to it, did we?
Never got around to it. No, but it'd be
No.
nice to do that. But yeah, I'd also obviously like to say a big thank you as well to everybody from Hornby who was at the show. It was lovely to see them. They were very, very kind to me. And yeah, obviously I'm very grateful for the fact that they've stuck the faith and continue giving me things to do. So thank you to that. I'm really grateful. So on that note, we have overshot by 5 minutes, Spence, but I do apologize for that.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's so fingers crossed we will be back on Sunday. Hopefully Drew will be back on Sunday for the Sunday service. Might do a pop-up live in the interim as well, because I've been working on the AMX and the little M8 howitzer as well. Big thank you to Spencer for joining me tonight and for his company over the weekend. It wouldn't have worked if the pair of us don't have complementary kind of personalities.
No.
And so a big thank you to Spencer and to everybody who came along and chatted to us. Yeah, it was utterly fabulous. It was. I really, really enjoyed it. So thank you, everybody, and see you next year, hopefully. Yeah. So on that note, from the pair of us, enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will hopefully see you very, very soon. So until then, bye for now.